15th of 2025, you may look at that and go, what is that? It's upside down trees. Yeah. It was all cloudy this morning, but it looks like the clouds are breaking up a little bit. It's freaking cold around here, man. Ay, 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 ay. Anyway, of course, cold is a relative thing. It's not cold for everybody. What am I doing? I'm doing astrology here today, and astrology for the soul. Indeed. The moon is right now in the sign of Leo. It's been there for a little while. It's going through, and tomorrow it's going to go on into Virgo and move on through trining Chiron, squaring Uranus, and then by Saturday it is going to be going into Libra. Right after it opposes that Saturn over there in Pisces, and then goes into Libra, opposes Neptune, because those two are still conjunct. And then, Sunday comes around and conjuncts with Venus. Beautiful, pretty Venus on Sunday. Happy Sunday. Other stuff going on there until, Monday squares Jupiter, opposes Chiron, and heads on into Scorpio. So we do have a new moon just before she goes into Scorpio at 28 degrees, 22 minutes of Libra. And I'm going to read you the Sabian symbol for that degree, the 29th degree of Libra. I think it's very beautiful and, very inspiring. So I want to share that with you today. The other aspects that are happening that I really want to talk about is, we're gathering together Mercury, Mars, and Black Moon Lilith coming together in Scorpio. I mean, really, they're effective. Okay, particularly on Sunday, we're going to have a Black Moon Lilith, Mercury, Mars conjunction on Sunday. And the beautiful thing is that is in a trine. If you looked at the chart at the beginning, there's a grand water trine, right? With Saturn in Pisces, with the North Node, and then Jupiter down there in Cancer, trining that Mercury, Mars, Black Moon, Lilith. So, and we know Scorpio is not all bad, man. Scorpio is, I'm going to be talking about it when I look at the camera. But other than that, right now, tomorrow and now, Sun is square Jupiter and opposite Chiron. Up there in Libra, squaring Jupiter, and opposite Chiron. So let me look at camera, find a good spot here, and chit-chat to you about all these, the energies of these days. All right, everybody. Boy, oh boy, I want to talk a little bit about this and that and this and that and this and that, and I'm going to try to make a cohesive, bring it all down to the mantra, bring it all down to the song for this week, and you tie it all together. But, I don't want to ignore what's going on. I mean, I think that we are all, quite aware of the tension that is now existing in the collective. It's all over the world, whether it's, the U.S. and the National Guard going into Chicago or whatever, and, the whole clampdown that's happening in the U.S. or, Israel, Palestine, and, is Hamas really going to give up all their guns? I don't know if I would, but, we can kind of maybe hope, but it's not a done deal over there, and the Ukraine is still going on, and China's clamping down. There's a lot of this clamping down. Have you noticed this clamping down of, the external authorities, whether they're banks or governments or, data centers? Just like really like Big Brother is, just like surrounding us, whether it's AI or anything else. There's just a major feeling of external forces beyond our control, which is Scorpio, and it's also Saturn, and we've got this Mercury, Mars, Lilith in Scorpio. I guess I'll just go right there since I'm at it. I want to read to you out of one of my great buddy friends here, Stephen Forrest, Skymates. Check it out. He's awesome, great guy. And I just want to read to you the evolutionary intention of Mars in Scorpio. Are you ready? It's there for a couple months, The evolutionary intent is to apply the will to a relentless, wrenchingly honest, shared process of self-examination, revelation, and transformation. There is a reaction to a prior life dynamic of sexual deceit and a soul desire to re-establish trust on the basis of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Whether you put this in the context of interpersonal, intimate relationships or countries, China, United States, Russia, Israel, Palestine, Iran, whatever, there is this. It's Scorpio is like a truth serum, or like I like a couple of reports ago I talked about waterboarding. Like you will tell the truth, blah, 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 and the whole truth and nothing but the truth. But the truth can hurt. And Scorpio and Black Moon Lilith is the shadow of Scorpio. So this is covert, hidden truths coming to light. The lava from deep down under, shooting up and out of the volcano into the light of day. And so this is, bringing up our shit. This is, a need for us individually, personally, in our relationships, but also through the media. People really, it's like, the government's, pointing out this, and the media and journalism finding that, and, this coming to light that happened 5-10 years ago. And I mean, there's just like lots of everything, coming up to, look at this, look at this. Look at this, look at this, what happened there, blah, 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 blah. Ah! It's enough to drive somebody nuts. Too much information. And that's the Sun square Jupiter. Okay, the Sun square Jupiter is just too much. The square is the tension of the Jupiter wants to expand, and the Sun is like, and it can just be overboard. So try as much as is possible to like breathe through this week, and and expand your capacity to feel and experience deep emotions, without flipping, freaking, being overwhelmed or whatever, but just like breathe into them, sit with them, and feel into them, and some deeper truths about yourself, about your purpose, your identity, your relationships, your reality, your body. That's the idea, is that this is percolating up. And it's uncomfortable because it's shadow. And what is shadow? Shadow is what we have avoided and denied in our past or tried to escape. Oh no, I'm not jealous, I'm spiritual. Oh, I'm not envious, I'm a good guy. I'm not greedy. I don't care about money. I'm spiritual. We have an ideal, and this is Neptune, Saturn again. We have these ideals about ourselves, and yes, strive to be those ideals. And there's nothing wrong with striving to be an ideal, and fake it till you make it. Like try as hard as you can to be that guy or that gal that you've always wanted to be. And don't deny the fact that you're not there yet. We are not the best versions of ourselves, or we probably would die. We're still here. We're still improving. There's still evolution. There's still, some more unconscious, stuff that wants to be brought into consciousness. And so, accepting our, Scorpio is humbling. Scorpio is humbling. We have to humbly admit, okay, that we are human, and that we have shadow, and that we have, unspoken desires. We have secrets, okay, that we have withheld, and we have feared vulnerability, and we don't fully trust. And you can see this happening on, the international stage, right? And even on the national stage. But there is this, it's about power and control. And I don't want to lose my power and lose my control by being vulnerable and exposing my weaknesses, my humanness, my faults, or whatever. But Scorpio also wants intimacy, growth and transformation through union. So this is, it's really something that it's in this grand trine, okay, with Jupiter down there in Cancer, Saturn over there in Pisces, which is water everywhere. Look at that water behind me. Such a beautiful reflection of the sky above. And yet it's still. Look how still it is. It's pretty still. It reflects, and it seeks its deepest. It always goes down, seeps down into the earth. The rivers go down to sea level, down into the ocean. So Scorpio wants us to go down. And let me talk now about this grand trine, because in very many ways, it's a grand trine is very different than a trine. Jupiter is trine Saturn for quite some time now. And we can take it back to the solstice, okay, in December of 2020. That's when Jupiter and Saturn were conjunct. Exact. Right at the beginning of Aquarius. And now, 5 years later, Jupiter comes around to the trine. And the trine is the fullest expression of the seed that was sown in 2020. And I think we're all feeling that seed that was sown is like, you know what, we're going to get pushed. That was like the great reset. That was like the great, the beginning, right, of the great kind of takeover, of censorship and, misinformation, and the fact checkers getting owned and bought, and, and this whole kind of, just confusion around what exactly is true and what are lies and deceit. So now this new paradigm that's opening as Pluto goes into Aquarius right around that same time. Okay, Pluto was right there. It was a Jupiter Saturn Pluto conjunction that hadn't happened for 4,000 years or something, right? So this is truly a rearrangement. Jupiter and Saturn are our social planets. Jupiter is how we expand our consciousness out into the foreign, out into higher realms and foreign lands, and open ourselves to interaction with others that are different than us. And Saturn is our duty and responsibility to society, right, and to our children, and to the earth, and taking care as stewards and elders about the next generation. So this trine is a time period where, and it's not exact until I think 1111. Okay, Jupiter, they both come up to the 25th degree, okay, of Cancer and Pisces. But right now, we've got, let's say, Jupiter trine Saturn, and we've got Mercury, Mars, Lilith. over here in Scorpio. And again, these two trines says that, you know what, this is actually a good time for business. This is a good time for business decisions. This is a good time where you can feel balance between expansion and contraction, not too optimistic, not too pessimistic, but really grounded and centered in the middle. So this is, you know, like, yeah, there is a certain sense of, okay, I can do this. That's just the trine, and that's going on really until, it's amazing. You know, Saturn goes retrograde, and then Jupiter goes way retrograde, and they don't come back until September 1st of 2026. Only then they're at 26 degrees of Aries and Leo. So this is the only water that we're going to have. Water for a while. Oh my God, look at that. Freaking love it. Anyway. Yeah. Just floating along, man. Everything's gonna be ducky. Hunky ducky. Where was I? So anyway, this trine is now getting, in a way, pierced, because a grand trine is what? Mercury, Mars, and Lilith are opposite the midpoint of Jupiter and Saturn. So there is an opposition in here, a little bit like the kite, only there's no planets over here, right? So this opposition to the midpoint really stirs things up, right? And splits them up and divides them up. So it's almost like necessary for us now to look at, you know, some of the challenges that we face. And when I think of the challenges that we face, I come back to Saturn and Neptune. And I think of this MAGA, you know, the whole American MAGA thing, Make America Great Again. Very interesting dynamic. Because, and it's like I've said before, this is kind of like the end of patriarchy. And it is like the patriarchs are, you know, there's this grasp and this race, whether it's with AI or politics or banks or governments. There is this huge race for control and power. Are you feeling it? Wow. You know. So this is just like this time period. And what we need to do in order to understand it is to step outside it. Yeah, we have to step outside. We have to like really get very, very objective. And in order to do that, we have to step outside of this time period, and we have to understand, and I want to just go into Rudolf Steiner a little bit here, you know, that this is a real turning point in a huge evolutionary process that spans tens of thousands, in fact, hundreds of thousands of years, even billions of years. This is the fourth incarnation of Earth. We are at the bottom of a U, a V, of going down, coming in, materializing. Materialism, cold, hard truth, fact, materialism, and it's this descent into the Ahrimanic realms of technology, of knowledge, of practical, earthly, materialistic, this is all there is. And we want to have power and control over the material world. And it's an absence of spirit, an absence of love, an absence of compassion and forgiveness and understanding and so much. of the other half, all right, the Luciferic forces. And you can check, AI if you want to know more about Ahriman. It's Ahriman. Goes back to Zarathustra and the whole Zoroastric religions back in the ancient times of Sumeria. But this Ahrimanic energy of materialism, and Steiner talked about ways to counter it, ways to deal with it, ways to live through it, ways of thriving in the midst of it, that we are so surrounded with new data centers grabbing the energy and the water and forcing the cost of living up, and creating all kinds of all for information. Yeah, more information, that's going to lead to more control and more power in the material physical world. And I might do another separate video on Friday just about this AI stuff, because I'm getting more and more into it. But for now, I just want to kind of deal with that. It becomes so necessary for us as human beings, as evolving spiritual entities, visiting Earth in this incarnation at this time, emerging out of spiritual realms of multidimensional realities into these physical space-time material bodies, in order to live in the heart. And that's the thing, that's the whole thing about this Ahriman and, this information. It is not, how can we say, supportive of love, peace, harmony, fulfillment. There's an absence of emotion. That's why it's so beautiful to have this Jupiter, Saturn in water, and Mercury, Mars, Lilith in water. And get the most of it now before these all transition into fire next year. Oh my God, right? It's going to be like a real absence of water. But like right now, there is still, this energy, and part of it is grieving. This Saturn, Neptune is about grief. In the final degrees of Pisces, the end of an old reality, of an old paradigm, of all that we knew and supported us and we thought was real is now, falling away, and there's a loss and there's a confusion and there is a natural grief. It's in the mantra for this week. And feeling this grief is part of feeling our humanness. And it can bring us together, and it can actually really be healing for us to feel that, and then move on, then go on. I want to read to you the Sabian symbol for the new moon. And it's not till Monday, which is quite a ways from now. And it'd be more for next week. But this is really amazing. Mankind's vast and enduring effort to reach for knowledge transferable from generation to generation. That's the symbol. The keynote: a deep sense of participation in and commitment to social processes which seek to bring to all people truth and a greater life. The most characteristic trait in human nature is the ability to bind time. That is, to transfer to others, as yet unborn, the harvest of our conscious experiences and our deliberate endeavors. This ability far transcends instinct and biological mutations, for it is based on consciousness, choice, will, and self-sacrifice for the sake of future human beings. It rests upon a deep feeling of the value of community. Its use increases this feeling and eventually destroys the roots of loneliness. This symbol suggests a technique that makes a life truly human. To join with other men and women in the vast process of a, in italics, living civilization is to fulfill the basic implications of the human stage of cosmic evolution. The human stage, like this is just a stage. us experiencing ourselves as human is just a stage of cosmic evolution. A stage characterized by conscious participation. And that really says a lot, doesn't it? What do we want to leave behind for the next 7 generations? You know, this whole AI and information and, making avatars, and it's almost like a search for immortality through, material mechanisms and machines. Is that what we want to leave for the future generations? Or do we want to leave pathways? Do we want to leave rituals? Do we want to leave ceremonies? Do we want to leave, sacred exercises? I don't know. I mean, do we want to, leave wisdom teachings on how we have managed or how we have succeeded in penetrating this physical world with spirit? Not how we have surrendered spirit and engrossed ourselves in a holy, end point of materialism, but how we have, integrated and realized ourselves through matter, like a real artist. And so, during this time, I understand, like AI is grabbing, people's jobs, and there's, a great fear around, stability. And I've been saying it for a long time. And Saturn, Neptune, and Pisces, and this ability to sacrifice for others and to participate. How can we participate, sacrifice, serve, and receive compensation? You know it. Therapy, healing. The number one use of AI right now is personal counseling. Did you know that? Yeah. There's more people tapping into AI, asking questions about how do I, handle what the hell is going on around here. But to really learn astrology, like in my school, but to really learn tarot, crystal healing, Reiki, psychotherapy, all the different, like I say, any form of art can be therapy. Art therapy, music therapy, dance therapy, you name it. But really, Pisces and Neptune is art, music, dance, poetry, mysticism, the spiritual world, meditation, and Saturn coming in is, this is a time when our elders, where our growth, our maturity, can really be about, bringing in this spiritual reality and the spiritual truth, without which there is loneliness, separation, depression, suicidal tendencies, ill health, lack of integration, you name it. I mean, the list goes on and on. We have to understand that all physical illness has its origins first in the spiritual, then in the mental, psychological, then in the emotional, etheric, okay, from the astral to the etheric to the physical. And there's a lot of ill health going on right now. I do chart readings after chart readings, and I'm taking care of my partner, I'm taking care of my sick mother, my father, my dementia, my kid is sick, my autism. It's like boom, 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 boom. The healthcare system is on overload. So maybe it's healing techniques that we leave for our children. Coping mechanisms, coping methods of coping, with like this overwhelming technological world, baby. We need nature, we need hikes, we need boats, we need swimming, we need climbing, we need hiking, and oh my goodness, as much as we can, adventure and excitement that fills our hearts with a sense of expansiveness and joy and peace and the beauty. Truth and beauty go together. Look behind me. You want some truth? There it is. It's right there, baby. I grieve the loss of what could have been, but will continue to give and do all I can. It's a pretty simple mantra, yeah? I grieve the loss. Feel it, own it, sit with it, go through the stages of it so that you can emerge out, right? So I grieve the loss of what could have been, my dreams, my ideals, what I thought my older years would look like, what I thought my, family would look like, what I thought the world would look like. Yeah, that's going away now, and it's getting replaced with a new, different version. It's a different paradigm. So it's natural to grieve this loss. And as we grieve in it, you can move through it and emerge out of it back to participation, right? But, I will grieve my loss of what could have been, but will continue to give and do all I can. There can be a tendency to withdraw, escape, hide out, pull back, contract. But Jupiter trine Saturn, right? This grand trine, and this full, the new moon in Libra, right, is really calling us to not do that. Don't give up. Get back in the ring. Yeah, with relationship, with partnership, with business, with the online stuff, whatever. That brings me to that other thing of, Instagram is I think Instagram limits now to 20-minute reels. So you can't hear the whole Paleo report on Instagram. Oops, I'm at 31. Too late. You got to go to YouTube or my website or get on my newsletter and get it in your inbox. But anyway, yeah. So, and, just to wrap it up, the song for this week is We Are the World. Ow! I know it's an oldie moldy goldie, but I was on a plane and I saw that they made a movie about making this song, about getting all these artists in one room for 30 hours or something to, like, hammer out this song that Michael Jackson and then wrote, like overnight, the lyrics. I mean, right? It's just we are the world, we are the ones, we are the children, we are the ones that make a brighter day. So let's start giving. It's a beautiful song. Click on the link below in the notes on YouTube and it'll take you to the video of it and see how many of the singers you can identify. It'll say how old you are. Anyway, that's all for today, and I wish you the very best one more time. I grieve the loss of what could have been, but will continue to give and do all I can. Namaste. Aloha. So much love.